can even the conversations around the kind of sex or desires you want to implement, can they be intimate? And that's what this is.
You can still create intimacy by getting to know the heart of the no and also the heart of the desire and the nourishment underneath that.
Mhm. Because most of the time, at the deepest level, what people want is to feel loved, seen, and then some spicy additives of ravish, like sexual mastery and sexual ecstasy. And so the conversation in every step of the way is an invitation to do it the way you would want the actual scene to go, right? So breathing throughout, care throughout, honesty throughout.
Yeah, and you're learning to stay with the layers of feelings and the ones that are uncomfortable, or staying with your own feelings and with the other person's feelings without taking action to get out of it, avoiding it, projecting on the other person, really staying with what is.
All in service of you staying like intimately connected to the person you're negotiating with. This is Erotic Reclamation.
Space where desire isn't shameful, boundaries are a turn on, and curiosity is welcome wherever it leads. I'm Nicolette.
And I'm Carrie. And we're here to have honest conversations about sex, kink, relationships, aliveness, being in a body, and all the weirdness that entails, and pleasure that heals.
Because these electrifying, liberating, ecstatic, but misunderstood parts of the human experience are too good to hide.
So today we're talking about one of my favorite topics from like a mental perspective and when I'm talking about your relationship, but one of the freaking hardest when I'm trying to implement it in my own relationship. And that is navigating seemingly conflicting desires. Bum, bum, bum.
Mhm.
We talked about this 2 podcasts ago, but if you didn't get to that part or you were really interested, this episode really dilates that reality, and I think it's actually so cool, and maybe we can walk through an example. We'll see kinda where we go, but curiosity, I'm just continually convinced curiosity is one of the, like, primary pillars of healthy relationship. To be curious, you have to have somewhat of a regulated nervous system, and that doesn't necessarily mean calm. It just means regulated, alive, here, present, breathing, able to know what you're feeling, but not fully identify with it. So, even just taking some of the connotations around regulated, but it takes a lot to go it can take a lot to go into negotiating if what you're getting into is seemingly stuck. Negotiation is super smooth and easy if you both wanna eat Thai food every night, and now it's just like, "Which place are we going, and are we getting the egg rolls tonight?" Like, you're probably listening to this like, "Why is everyone having trouble?"
Yeah.
But if you and your partner have different sexual turn on languages, if you have a really kinky erotic desire that you are like, I want to bring this up, but there's fear, trepidation, it may not even be a hard no from your other partner, but it just something in you is like, this, the way I might bring it up right now probably is going to be a no. What do I do with that? Like, how do I honor my own desire of what I wanna do and wrap the other person I love so much that it's seen as an invitation and it adds to the dynamic, not destroys it, blows it up, or, like, sends us into sleeping in separate bedrooms for a week.
Absolutely. Gosh, there's so many places to go here. But yeah, this often becomes a thing in longer term relationships. When there's a lot more years behind you and a lot more history and stories and possible resentments that have built up, fears, past behaviors that created a certain habitual pattern between you, things like that. And like we said in the last episode, desire is often there's an underlying feeling that you want something to be different. There's an underlying feeling that you want to be different
Mhm.
than how it feels. So it comes with uncomfortable physical sensations that can be hard to stay with over time. So, yeah, the wrapping with the love is so important, and I think the key maybe intention behind getting yourself resourced so your nervous system is in a place where you can show up is so that you can have access to empathy and compassion for whatever comes. If you're showing up to the conversation afraid or on guard, then it makes it difficult to have access to empathy or compassion. Or if you're showing up to the conversation wanting to express a desire because you think the other person is wrong for something they did, or you're blaming them for something, or there's like a sideways poke behind expressing it, then it can get really messy. So, coming to a place where you have compassion, empathy for the other person, you've already done whatever repair around resentments that's needed to happen, or your own work of owning your own judgments and projections so that you can show up to the conversation open becomes important. Especially when you're navigating these kinds of desires where they seem like they're in conflict.
Mhm. When you were talking, I just kept getting an image of, like, how do you offer your desire? Do you, like, throw it from behind a wall and then, like, cover your face? Or do you, like, slide it over sneakily with one eye closed? Or do you just, like, get in their face? Like, just even thinking about the way in which you give someone something,
Mhm.
and that just kept making me laugh because I imagine a lot of people are a little bit nervous and scared with their own desire, so they kinda just, like, prep themselves for it, and they're like,
Mhm.
"Okay, she loves me, he loves me, it's gonna be okay," and then they throw it, and then they close their eyes, and they hope for the best. And it's like, God bless, like, any movement towards, I think, is wonderful, and, hopefully you're in a loving dynamic where you can figure this out, but this is where I think um, a lot of long-term couples, just like you said, get stuck. There's just it's too much to distinguish between the past, the future, and just staying really present with this moment right now. And I will say one piece that's like an absolute buy-in for this stage of negotiation is just as we talk about all of them, this does not mean you are going to act on these desires.
Yeah.
So, getting permission to have a conversation around maybe adding another person or having a threesome or something along those lines, does not, you agreeing to have that conversation does not mean you're agreeing to have a threesome. Just means you are agreeing to understand your partner's desire more. So I'm going to like say that again, being willing to have a negotiation conversation and listen to and understand what turns your partner on about a certain desire does not mean you are obligated to actually act on that desire. But I think if you rob yourself of the conversation, you'll be missing out on really, really cool information on how to love your partner better.
Yeah, and that's both sides. Like, you're not going into the conversation expecting that in the end you're gonna get what you want. You're not
Mhm.
going into the conversation expecting that you have to give over something in order to give them that this is what you were agreeing to as the conversation. And this point that you're making about permission is really important here, that before even stepping into the conversation, there's a check for consent to even have the conversation.
Mhm.
"Hey, I wanna have this conversation. I have a desire I wanna express. I'm nervous about it." We've talked about the weather report, being able to express your feelings. I'm nervous to share it. I'm afraid you might, based on past conversations, it might be challenging for you to hear, whatever is true for you, and then letting the other person decide whether they're in for that kinda conversation or not.
I'm not gonna lie, as you were saying that, I was like, if someone came to me, I'll flip out. I'd be like, "Oh my god, what's this thing? What are they talking about? I didn't take it well. When do they wanna have this conversation?" So, just even being aware of This is why, like, refer to the previous episode because if you do a lot of work in yourself before you bring your partner a desire, you don't have any residual shame. You or not any,
Mhm.
let's be clear. That shit follows you around, but it can make for a spicy sex life. But like you can do things because if you are the one introing this, like, I want a thing that I imagine my partner doesn't want or I already know they want, you kind of got to be the like starting baseline for regulation. You can be nervous, you can absolutely be nervous, but you are aware that the conversation's coming, so don't even bring that in until you are like, "I can feel my feet on the floor. I can feel the breath in my belly. I can feel my heartbeat in my chest, and I can say this?" And if you aren't to that point, that's where the front end of this framework can really work so that you can feel really good, so that you can even step into this conversation, which is already a high flame conversation.
Yeah, and on the other side, you can ask questions, to make sure that you could be a yes. So, you just give me a sense of what this might be about, or is there something you would need to be able to step into the conversation with a little less nervousness? How can I show up to it? How much time do you think this conversation would take?
Mhm.
And so then you don't have to necessarily step into it right away. You can both schedule a time where you feel like you can actually be available for it and say yes. So you can always ask questions, clarifying questions, and this is the case with any desire because in the initial desire that's being voiced is the desire to have a conversation.
Yeah.
So right from the very start, there's space for the other person to say yes, no, maybe get more clarification, more information before even stepping into the conversation. And and being able to own the weather report leading up to the moment, the weather report again being your thoughts, feelings, sensations, what is so in the moment, owning that, and both people can own that, "Hey, I da 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 da, I'm bringing the conversation, I wanna have this conversation. How does it feel even hearing me ask that?"
Mhm,
"Oh, I feel my shoulders tense up, I feel my heart racing, I feel a little bit excited, but also very nervous."
mhm.
"Okay, cool. What would you need to be," so it's like you can have that back and forth there to make sure that you could even get to a place to have the conversation.
Yeah. The more I kind of continue to do this and guide couples through it and do our retreats with this framework, the more I just love pointing people back to, can even the conversations around the kind of sex or desires you want to implement, can they be intimate? And that's what this is, right? And so that's where the reality and it can help you be unattached to getting the outcome because most of the time at the deepest level what people want is to feel loved, seen, and then some spicy additives of ravished and like sexual mastery and sexual ecstasy. Like there are some pretty base line oft agreed upon experiences and intimately connected to another human unlocks all of those. And so the conversation in every step of the way is an invitation to do it the way you would want the actual scene to go, right? So breathing throughout, care throughout, honesty throughout, okay if it gets a little wobbly and you restart, okay if you giggle. So we talk a lot at Erotic Reclamation for an embodiment based practice, but
Mm.
that's the thing is they never leave each other behind. It's all in service of you staying, like, intimately connected to the person you're negotiating with, and I just find it so so much more interesting and a practice of increasing your own capacity to receive the thing you're asking for. Like, the conversation leading up to it, if you can't stand tall, strong, open despite the nerves, the storm of your partner's emotions, the storm of your inner emotions, and then you think you're just gonna go jump into a threesome and, like, be able to stand the storm of another person's.
Mhm.
Like, there's also something really cool about a negotiation that's sticky that builds trust to help maybe move the dial towards something bigger and more expansive sexually because you are learning that your partner will listen to your yes. You are learning that your partner will listen to your no. You are learning that you can call a timeout if it gets heated. You are learning that your partner will give you that timeout if it gets heated and you'll come back together. All really great skills that you might utilize when you actually start getting into some edgier, sexier, taboo desire territory.
Yeah, and you're learning to stay with the feelings that are all the layers of feelings and the ones that are uncomfortable or staying with your own feelings and with the other person's feelings without taking action to get out of it, avoiding it, projecting on the other person, really staying with what is.
Yeah.
Um, I want to circle back to analogy that you brought earlier around like throwing, because when I think about just throwing a ball back and forth,
Mhm.
it helps to have a relaxed and available body. There's like having eye contact and like, okay, and like the prep of like, I'm gonna throw the ball now, and then like throwing the ball and having the time for the other person to receive it
Mhm.
before throwing it back. You don't just like, okay, poof, throw the ball, and then the other person's now like hit with the ball or has to duck or dodge. And, or like, I throw the ball and I throw it right back, without
Mhm.
like actually receiving the ball. So
Mhm.
there's like a lot in that analogy that I think is relatable
Mhm.
that can help with this of like the time it takes to, especially, you know, you can relate this to throwing a ball to a new person or someone you're not so related with. This isn't necessarily a new person, but it's a new kind of conversation. So you need to take the time to like catch the eyes, hold the ball, throw the ball, catch the ball, receive the ball, then throw the ball back. Yeah. And
I
make
like that.
space for the mess ups too of like, oh, I dropped the ball. Ha ha ha. Okay, let's pick the ball back up. Oops.
Maybe not so fast this time. I'm a little scared of the ball.
Yeah. So making refinements and making space to be human. And yeah.
Yeah. And I like that too because I see a lot of people talk themselves like 17 steps deep into this conversation already. Like they're having this conversation with their partner in their head before they've actually said it. So you can't think about like catching the ball that you haven't even thrown to the other person for them to catch to potentially throw back.
Mm.
So there's a little bit of that's a Ken Rakunov like metaphor of like you literally are just thinking about the next step that you have with the ball, not what am I gonna do when they throw it back? Do I have a baseball bat? Do I catch it? Nope, nope, nope. You don't even know if they wanna play. So, I like that metaphor. And it's also game, right? It's game, it's
Mm.
creative, it's responsive. It it gives each person kind of a time to be true to what's up for them and share, and that's co-created intimacy.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so you come to the conversation, you have a desire.
Mhm.
In theory, you have gotten to the place where the desire is articulated, you've claimed it for yourself, you worked through any fears or shame. You're bringing the desire, about to throw the ball. The big key thing that we talk about that's important before you even throw the ball is coming to a shared North Star, something that this conversation is in service of. And that's a good thing to negotiate even before you get into the desire. Why are we even having this conversation? And what do we want to come out of it regardless of outcome? Do we want to feel closer? Do we want to bring some freshness, some experimentation? Yeah.
Mm. And that's nice because there will possibly be parts along this journey, this conversation that don't feel comfortable because you're basically agreeing to get into the weeds. You're pretty much a conflicting desires conversation is just getting into your deepest fears,
Yeah.
which, you know, it can feel really uncomfortable and it can feel overwhelming. So you can forget that there is something else bigger than that fear because that's how typically those fears kind of work. They tell us the story that like whatever, like when I'm scared, that is all that exists. It's rational, it's true, it's valid. I have data points because that's the like lens that fear puts on. So in a conflicting desire conversation, if you guys are like, okay, we're doing this because things have gotten stagnant and we both can feel that there's like unspoken wants and we want an alive connection. So,
Mm.
alive connection, right? So, when you're in that moment of like, absolutely not, they're going to leave me, they're a pig, they're a whatever the thoughts that might come up
Mhm.
with this stuff, you can, or you can remember, or your partner can remind or help you remember why you're even walking through some of these like darker pockets or experiences or sensations. It's like, oh, we're doing this because there is something on the other side, an alive connection.
Yeah. Yeah, and in your example of the threesome, a lot can come up for the other person the moment that a desire is voiced for a threesome, for example. And so making space for the feelings that can arise for the other person even before any negotiation begins, of having heard that desire, gives time and space for you to stay in the connection that is in service of the North Star.
Hmm.
So you having articulated it, you can, because it can ricochet. It's like person voices the desire, other person has probably a mix of feelings. It's pretty likely in a conflicting desires conversation. Then if this person now is gonna have feelings about the other person's feelings,
Hmm.
if you have a North Star to anchor you, you can be with the feelings and make space for the feelings on both sides that come up just from having the desire be voiced, and then you can progress from there.
And it's so helpful because an alive connection doesn't happen without both people being like there and fully happy.
Mhm.
Right? And I think that's the thing that can get really weird in a conflicting desire is like, I'm gonna have to like lose something. I'm gonna have to like not get something. Like that is often the feeling that's there. And if the North Star is like, we both feel really alive and connected, inherently in that, you have to be there, both people. So nobody's getting like forgotten in this. And that can be something that's really cool too. It's like a safety net of like, if that's, the kind of agreement, you might come with a North Star that's like, it's for this person's pleasure. But then the clarity of like, it's for this person might unlock generosity in somebody's body. We're getting off topic here, but
No, it's not off topic.
the
I
North
get it.
Star is just like, how do you remember you're on the same team? And you're both like sailing the ship to the same place, like bringing this desire up and the conversation and the way you're both agreeing to hold it is that you're not gonna just fucking go completely different directions in the night. Not for this conversation. You guys are going to continue to prioritize feeling connected, alive. And that's as long as those points are there, then all of the emotions and the rockiness is in service of that.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And it helps, like, if it is in service of this one person's desire, then the questions that get asked, the clarifications, the boundaries that get negotiated, it's easier to navigate those next steps because we both know that it's in service of this person's desire, and we both agree to that, for example.
Gotta love clarity.
It's yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Like, why no, why are we talking about a threesome? I don't wanna have a threesome. "Oh, you do? And you're intrigued by it? Okay, well, maybe we have this conversation so I can understand you better."
That could be enough.
Like, you could be just like, "No, hard stop, I'm not gonna have a threesome," but, like, I would love to understand what about it really lights you up. Great.
And that brings you closer.
Yep.
Yeah, it creates more intimacy.
And I'm saying great. We also, like, wanna acknowledge that doing this in long-term partnership can feel intense, you know?
Mhm.
So, if you're like, your flippancy does not match the degree of intensity I feel when I try to bring a desire up with my partner and we're stuck, like, we understand, and that's why we have this process so that you can kinda be taken along with rather than have to figure it out. Because figuring out conflicting desire starts to get real nitpicky, it starts to get coercive, it starts to get wishy-washy and like, I'll just self-abandon one more time because maybe next time they'll self-abandon slightly and do what I want or like it you start having all of like these kinds of thoughts are going on when it comes to partnership and long-term dynamics whether you're saying it or not. And I think it's better to just lay it all on the table because, again, now you're working on it together. It's you versus the dynamic. It's not even verse. It's like you playing with the dynamic, not partner A against partner B. Rah, rah, rah.
Yeah.
Rah, rah, rah.
Like, I know that.
I do too.
Um,
Like, that's why it's also, we can say, like, that's why I can say the intensity of asking for a desire, especially one that might be a little bit challenging for your partner to metabolize or hold, it's hard. It's hard to come to terms with. You're allowed to ask for what you want, even if someone else has a response, and giving them the agency and sovereignty and space to have a response and not have that mean automatically no like,
yes.
every step of this can be quite tricky and is just about holding we say holding the pose, which is just breathing and feeling that intensity and just being like, "Yep, this is kind of intense."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can take pauses, like, you don't have to come out of it with some strong solution, like,
Mhm,
it as long as and the North Star helps with this, like, if we're in service of an alive connection, for example, if it starts to feel disconnected or feel dead, then take a break,
mhm,
you know? What is the next thing that will be in service of the alive connection? Because that's ultimately your North Star.
yeah,
So, a next step here, the desire's been spoken, both feelings have been heard around the desire being spoken. This is where the curiosity piece comes in. And, Carrie guides this in our Temple of Yes retreat. And when you guide it, Carrie, you often bring the focus to the person who's the no first,
mhm,
which I really love because it gives space for them to kind of work out and articulate what is happening for them.
mhm,
And the person who the other partner is asking questions with curiosity to understand, not to coerce. And one thing that we've really gotten to here is that the questions ultimately are to understand the underlying nourishment.
mm,
Like what is, because the person who's a no has something that they are a yes to.
mhm,
So if it's the threesome, if they're a no to the threesome, maybe they're a yes to the deepening of the, I'm just gonna go with, like, the sacred connection that is our monogamy and our two-person connection, and the deepening of our connection. Resolving this through the deepening of our connection. Let's say that's their, underlying yes that they ultimately find. So, the curiosity can get you to finding what that is, Oh, okay. You really want to feel that deepening of our connection. Okay. And then you can keep asking questions to understand what the nourishment is behind that.
Mhm,
I feel so nourished by the security and the safety of the intimacy that we've developed and the vulnerability that I can go to with you.
mm,
And I feel, so as you keep getting there, you can really understand that, like, the cost for this person in being a yes to your desire might be, or the fear is a cost of safety or of that close intimacy, the ability for the vulnerability or whatever those things are. I have found so many times that by being the person who has expressed the desire and asking and understanding that underlying nourishment, I have so much compassion for the no and can really see and get it,
mm,
still holds the compassion for my own yes.
right. Yeah, which is why, again, I'm just gonna continually point back to doing a lot of work with yourself going into it so you can hold it in the face of your partner's no, which makes sense, which you have so much understanding for. Because, like, as you were saying that, I'm like, I can imagine listening partner being like, yes, I want to give you stability. I want to give you security. I want you to feel loved. And so that's where we're like establishing essentially where you guys are on the same team at the root of this mismatch. And another, if the person who has the no doesn't know their yes, all they know is their no. Again, this is where the difference between curiosity and coercion comes in. Is if the person who said, "Hi, I want a threesome," and you're like, "No," and I'm like, "Okay, are you willing to have a conversation around your no so I can understand it better?" And are you willing to hear what's behind my yes so you can understand that better and we can come to something that is in service of a live connection?
Yeah, and that's that beautiful permission consent step.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because this is where people are like, okay, they said no. And then sometimes people go really far away from somebody's no. Understandably so. We've not always gotten the no right. And so there needs to be a big, awareness and honoring and a shift of that. But with this agreement to have the conversation and agreement for curiosity, this is where you can start actually asking questions. Help me understand more about the no. Is it, and as you start to kind of pull some of these threads, you might discover it's like, I'm not necessarily a no to a third person, but I don't feel good in my body right now. And I don't really want to get naked in front of someone else. That feels like a lot. And I feel really comfortable with you, but the idea of someone else seeing me naked is a little bit disorienting. And so getting like really down to the heart of like, I may be open to a threesome in the future. It doesn't feel good right now because I don't feel like we have a regularly established sexual connection. So the thought of bringing someone else in makes me feel a little bit scared because we feel, out of sync. And so you start to get to the heart of it and see if the no is the threesome or if the no is actually like not right now because there are things that I would maybe want or hope or like to feel before I would be able to consider and do that and stay in my heart and open and loving and not scared and weird and insecure.
Mhm. Yeah. And, another helpful question here is, are you interested in being a yes to this?
Mhm.
Like, do you want to be a yes? Because sometimes that happens where someone's a no, but they want to be a yes. And that can also help because if the person says, yeah, I actually want to be a yes, I want to find some way to do this, that creates an opening to start negotiating from there.
Mhm.
If they're like, no, I'm not open, I don't want that, then then you can be open to just understanding their no, but knowing that this desire is actually off the table. And if that's still the case, you can still create intimacy by getting to know, and we'll talk about the other side, like getting to know the heart of the no and also the heart of the desire and the nourishment underneath that.
Mhm. That's like that's again getting back to the same team place, because it's like hearing that partner list out the, like, insecurities. I imagine the other partner being like, "Oh, I have so much more understanding and compassion. You're not just like, no when jealous and the door slamming in my face. This is it's muddy over there for you. It would require some vulnerability and like, oh, okay." And then yeah, the moving to the partner that has the yes. Okay, is it what about a threesome is so erotic? Because that could be answered so many different ways. The
Mhm.
taboo, the novelty, the getting to see you with someone else, the being surrounded by all the favorite body parts I love times two, the like, I saw an Esther Perel thing and I wanted to try it. I don't even know. Like, there's so many different possibilities, but you can continue to ask, and what would that do for you?
Mhm.
And what would that do for you? Like novelty. Okay, what would that do for you? Novelty would wake me up sexually and help me feel what is the virility? Help
Mm.
me feel aliveness and fire. Okay. So like you are really craving feeling virility and aliveness and fire when this partner over here is craving safety and stability. Okay, are you both a yes to both of those things? Because I imagine you are. And so now we found a common yes. Okay, aliveness, virility, safety, stability. Great. Those are your like building blocks. And then you can start adding pieces in. Like, okay, so you didn't want to be maybe naked in front of people, but like, what about if we go to a bar and flirt with a
Mhm.
person? Like, oh, oh. And then we go home and we have sex with each other. Oh. Oh. Like, so this person is, like, getting to stoke the fire or whatever is at the heart of it, and then this person is and maybe it's freedom, maybe it's who knows? It's gonna be different for each person, but you're gonna be able to find something, some building blocks that you both connect on that then you get to be creative.
Yeah, you get to co-create a new yes in service of your North Star.
Mhm. Alive connection.
Like,
And
and
even just having that conversation and coming to those realizations often are invigorating in and of themselves because these have been stuck dynamics, maybe places that you started to both feel like really misunderstood. And so, even having some amount of like, oh, there's more than just yes, no binary when it comes to desire. Like, oh, that can be the like spark that then everything starts to just click into place because you don't always have to have these conversations this slowly. It's just usually the first few times you do have to, and it serves. It helps you figure out exactly what's going on and the lay of the land and doing it in a way that leads to a continuation of love throughout and then ideally an add of spice or flame or heat.
yep, there's some other outcomes that are possible here, like back to the question of, do you want to be a yes to this? And the person says, yeah, I do want to be a yes to this. Then the negotiating and the curiosity and the understanding the underlying nourishment for each person leads in a different direction where you're co-creating in the direction of that yes, but in a different way. So it is possible that one person, just by hearing all of that, becomes a yes to the other, like a genuine yes to the other person's yes.
Yeah.
Because it's like, "Oh, it was about that for you, okay." And while still honoring their boundaries, so in the case, I love this example of, like, I don't wanna be naked. Okay, cool. So, what if we did this and we didn't get naked? Like, no one got naked, or you don't get naked, or, like, there's some boundary that's honored, and then boom, both are a yes to the yes. Cool, that's great. And that's actually most commonly what I see is, like, both partners become a yes to the yes with some, negotiated boundaries within it.
Yeah. And again, I'm gonna harp back on to owning your own desire because a desire fully owned that you can like be in a relaxed, open, breathing body and explaining what turns you on about it is fucking magnetic.
Mhm,
Like, being able to be like, "I wanna be in my sexual mastery where I am commanding your body to do this, and I'm commanding her body to do this, and then I'm gonna be, like, playing the moment like the most beautiful concert composer." Like, your partner's like, "Well, I mean, that sounds cooler than when I thought a threesome happening in the back of, like, I don't know, somebody's beat up Subaru." I don't even know if you can fit 3 bodies in there, but, like like like, there's something about the truth of, like, erotic desire held in a beautifully open body. It's just so hot, and we didn't do this example. We'll a lot of times run through a pretty, like, extreme kink example to, like, give people the understanding of it, like, something that you're like, "Absolutely no way would I ever do that," and then you hear someone explain what it does for them,
mm.
and you're like, "I?" You definitely at least do the head tilt. You're like, "I?" So you're saying so what I'm understanding in myself is there's now a chance because, like, someone's fully owned desire is
Mhm.
just so magnetic. So, so magnetic.
Most of us have never had the time, space, or permission to explore what we actually want, let alone how to ask for it from someone, negotiate boundaries around it, and finally receive it. The Temple of Yes is a retreat for just that. This is for people who simply know that they want more in relationship in the bedroom, but are intimidated by the process of actually turning it into reality. This October, we're gathering for 4 days in Austin, Texas, with an intimate group of open hearted and growth oriented individuals and couples who don't want to settle for good enough in intimacy and sex. We'll work with cultivating and honoring your desires, clearly naming what you want, working with any shame that comes up, as well as negotiating your F yes and your equally important no. In other words, those juicy, enlightening, important conversations that most of us were never taught how to have. If something in you just said yes to that, even a scared little yes, check out eroticreclamation.com, book a discovery call, or send us a message. The link's in the show notes. On to the episode.
Now, if you're trying to be magnetic to convince someone to meet your desire, the cool thing is it's just not gonna work because
Yeah, it's
that's not
I don't want
magnetic. And
coercion. Yeah.
yeah, and partners can sniff that out from a mile away. So if you're sitting down and you're like, "Man, they just keep like we're not getting past step 1." I would invite you to check yourself. And are you like subtly putting expectation, pressure, coercion,
Manipulation.
manipulation, which that word can sometimes get like a ugly intentionality to it. Could even be like kind of subconscious manipulation of if I do all these steps, then I will get exactly what I want.
Mhm.
Also, maybe step 0 should be grieve the desire because you're not gonna get it the exact way you want it.
Yeah.
You really aren't. You're gonna get it possibly way better. You're gonna get it possibly like a little bit not quite the fullest version. And if you can't detach from it has to be 100 or I'm not happy, your partner is gonna feel so defeated in like maybe trying to stretch or meet you in a new expression of sexuality. So yeah, step 0 might be like, "Yay, you have a desire." Step 0.1, "Oh my god, I'm going to grieve this desire because something's gonna happen, but not the exact same thing that I thought."
Yeah, it's not gonna be your idea or your fantasy of it.
Yep.
It's never gonna be your vision of it.
Yep.
It's because it's you and another human being or human beings, and you're all human, and you all have bodies and thoughts and feelings and desires
Yep.
and boundaries.
And it might be close. We're saying never. Sure. I'm sure some people will like hit it pretty close. But
Yeah,
but I almost say that if you're hitting it pretty close, then there's more. Like there's more. Because the cool thing about this is we're not just talking about working with a no, we're talking about making the yes the most epic version of it. Because a lot of times people get lazy with their yes and they're like, oh, I'm a yes to that. So they go do something when taking 10 minutes to get really clear about what about that yes is so exciting. So that then it's like, oh, a threesome. Yeah, okay, cool. I'm down. But like, what about it? Like, oh, you really like it being in public? Like, oh, we can now do like a threesome thing in public or we can like this is why I love this because it's just like there's just so much creativity and that you can have more than you want and you can't get everything you want all at the same time.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, we're focusing on conflicting desire, where there's a yes or a no or a yes and a maybe. But if it is like a yes and a yes, the co-creation is still it's like we're talking about, it's still very possible and like the best part. Because now you both are like, oh, okay, and we could do it this way. Oh yeah, oh my gosh, you know what I've always wanted is this. Oh, what? So hot. And like then you're like co-creating from that energy and passion and fire.
Mhm.
And it gets really fun.
Mhm. And then the conversations themselves are again part of the intimacy, part of the foreplay. Like, if you're not slightly turned I mean, assuming you find your shared yes with your partner, right? But once you guys have moved into hopefully this stage of like, "Oh, yeah, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're both a yes to this new, like, we're gonna go flirt at a bar, clothes are gonna stay on." Great, okay. So we're gonna let go of that original desire, now this is what we're working with. Amazing, like, okay, what about this would make oh, I'm wearing lingerie underneath my outfit? Like, okay, oh, I have a toy in and you have the control? Like, oh my god, I never even thought about it, and now you've, like, gone into this other direction, and it's both of y'all's, which
Mm.
is what makes it so cool, rather than, like, here's another thing, if you're someone who struggles to receive because you feel like your partner's doing you a favor by just doing your desire, invite them into this co-creation.
Yes.
Well, also, I would say learning to receive without having to give or do is a highly valuable skill, but that's a different podcast. But yes, invite them into this co-creation because you can just both be very involved in it.
Yeah. There's one more piece I want to bring in, which is a common outcome from these conversations is you get to an impasse where you've had the conversation, it's clear, but the person who's the no actually really wants their partner to have it and 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 still is a no. Like there's that push pull within them. And that's very possible. Like it's more common than we think where God, I really want to be a yes, but I'm not a yes.
Mhm,
And sometimes what'll happen in that stage is, well, okay, go ahead and do it. Have it, it's fine.
mm,
And there's a self-abandonment, but it's not a full self-abandonment. It's like I'm abandoning a part of me that doesn't necessarily want it in service of this other part of me that does want you to have it. So what's important is the North Star,
mhm,
but also that North Star is for you too, like a live connection within yourself, for example, or intimacy within yourself is important as well. And if the cost is your own aliveness,
mhm,
it's not worth it. But if you hear them and you really do want them to have it, and you can find a way to negotiate so that they have it in a way that you can still feel safe and in integrity with yourself, and you're willing to give that in service of that greater yes, that
mhm.
North Star, beautiful and great,
Mhm,
and that's possible too. You don't have to be like gung ho, all in, fully on board, but
mhm,
you can be willing
mhm,
and still have it work. And but again, what's important is that it is a genuine willingness
mhm.
and not some part of you is giving over for it to happen because that's when resentments build.
Yeah. I love that you brought that up because self-abandonment is getting more attention. Again, like, thankfully, people are looking at that. But this, like, turmoil of part of you not wanting to, but part of you does want to, I think, again, that North Star, especially for, like, a body with trauma, I'll just name it, a body with trauma, especially trauma sexually with overgiving, that North Star is your tether to, like, the part of you are at choice.
Yes.
You are choosing this. And if potentially that part of you that's kind of still a little like, "Ooh, this is scary," might get big and be like, "I'm abandoning, I have to," and then it's like, "No, wait, hold on. I am choosing this, and I can at any moment stop this." And it can be really helpful to as,
Mhm.
like, a tether of your own, like, inner however you relate to it, your inner knowing, your adult self, your higher self, but it's, like, that part of you that is, like, rock solid and, like, loves your partner down and is like, "Yes, I am a yes to riding this edge," and part of me is, like, uncomfortable, but, like, "Yes, let's go there together." And then that spawns off a whole conversation of, we have safe words, you have like boundaries, there's all kinds of things you can do, especially when someone is saying, like, I'm a yes, and part of me is a little nervous or scared. Then it's like, awesome. Okay, let's make sure we really like tend, care for, set up structure for that part so that it feels welcome. Like it doesn't have to convert to a yes. Like it's welcome as is, and if shit shows up, we've got, like, ways to work with it. God, I just fucking love this stuff so much because it's, like, can feel so overwhelming and scary when you're in it, but there really are, like, so many steps and ways to stay with yourself, to stay with your partner. Like, there really is way more workability than our nervous systems will tell us in a moment.
Mhm. And aftercare, you know, we often think of aftercare when you're having, and we have a whole episode on aftercare, but when you're having something together, aftercare. But in the case of something where like you're wanting to go be intimate with somebody else, that having an aftercare, and your partner has become a yes or has been willing, whatever it took, so that you are going to have it, having aftercare with your partner that you negotiated the desire with, in addition to whatever aftercare you have with that other situation.
I like it. We're gonna now refer to all threesomes as that other situation.
um, that there's sort of aftercare to the the
Yeah,
the North Star that you negotiated around this desire itself.
yeah, it's like a debrief conversation, aftercare, something of like, okay, we did the thing, and in that moment, we did our whatever our aftercare was, but now back on our page, like, okay, what, how do you two reconnect? I
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, which is probably wise, because again, ideally, this becomes more of a way of communicating and desires can start to flow freely. And this is where sex can become really creative, where it has been stagnant. And so then you guys could debrief and then be like, "Ooh, okay, so what do we want to do for our next like spicy desire?" And maybe you do it once, a quarter, once every 6 months. You like get on the same team about it and
Mm.
you make it this thing that becomes really nourishing. And it went from this thing that was fucking terrifying and like so gnarly potentially, or like parts of you felt hidden, to this thing that you're like, oh, okay, okay, next time I want you to come up with the primary desire, and we're gonna like email back and forth about it, and then we're gonna sit down, and like it gets to be so collaborative when you can get to that, like on the same team. Not a whole lot to fear here. Like, you, like, love each other down, you agree to be in the mud, in the weeds, in the mess so that you can fucking fly in new realms of ecstasy and exploration. Like, it's so funny to me how our bodies are wired that the people we love the most sometimes are the people we feel, like, the most, like,
Mhm,
guarded with these parts of our sexual selves.
mhm.
'Cause it's like, "Oh my god, the stakes feel so high with you because I love you so much."
Yeah.
It's like, even that as, like, an opening is just, like, a really sweet proclamation of, like, "I just don't wanna fuck this up because you are my person, and that is the priority." And so, like, when in doubt at any moment, heartfelt vulnerability about, like, "I feel like I'm not doing this with skills, but I love you so much, and thank you for being here with me in it," is, like, what I hope for relationships.
Yeah. And, from the other side, having gone through this process with my husband, with you,
Mhm,
our business relationship, there's so much like closeness
mhm.
and knowing each other on the other side. And I mean, y'all, we've referenced it, but Carrie and I have gone through some gnarly.
We have. We took our own medicine
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
Like, we were in it, where you really wanted to be a yes to what the other one was saying, or you really wanted to not have that fucking boundary, and you're like, "Oh my god," it's yeah, it's but I can say we feel
Mhm.
right alignment again, like, things have the flame has exploded again.
Yes.
It took a minute, though. We had to ride out the, like, "Oh god, is this flame gonna go out?" Like,
Mhm.
we don't know. There is, like, some inherent unknown of, like, "Oof, it's kinda windy," but, like, now, again, there's, like, fresh air and flame and
Mhm.
trust. So much fucking trust.
Yes. Yeah, and creativity, like, we're like,
Yeah.
we got the creative fires back, and yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so much respect, like, so much mutual respect, and I mean,
Mhm.
just the amount of compassion that you showed me, and that I was and the vulnerability that you brought, and the way that we were able to bring, like, just compassion, understanding, empathy, and willingness to hear each other and, like, really get it. Patience, a lot of patience.
Mhm.
And we got support along the way, like, it wasn't just us, we used all our tools, but we part of our toolkit is getting support when we need it.
Mhm.
We did all that, and yeah, it's, like, amazing what's come out on the other side. So we can speak from experience.
Yeah, it was really cool because I was like, "Oh, this tool works." It's highly uncomfortable
Yes.
at many points. It's highly uncomfortable, and I do believe in having a guide, and, like, I can speak on my side of it, how much it helped rewire even my nervous system around giving a no and having someone receive it, and show, like, disappointment, but not like, anger, and still honoring it, and still willing to, like, be in and not leave, and, like, there's just we're talking about doing this in a long-term relationship. You can really do this anywhere there's a conflicting desire. We did it
Yep.
with business because it really is like, man, it's not easy, but it's a gift, and it's a way to stay connected and find the most, like, aligned yes.
Mhm. Yeah. And so, one of our places where you can get support is at our Temple of Yes retreat.
Mhm,
And if you're starting to navigate desires and walk into some terrain that you're not sure how to step into it, that over a weekend, we can support you with any step of the way. And then also individuals who are really craving a desire, but often it comes with like a fear of rejection.
Mhm.
You can work with that and be with another person who could potentially be a no, which can be terrifying.
Mhm.
When you're stepping in as a desirous person and a person who's putting themselves out there and being vulnerable, and use all these same tools with people you don't know yet.
Yeah,
And we've got you the whole way, and then you can take these tools into your life.
yeah. And then it's really cool because you don't you're just learning so much about yourself so that if you desire partnership, you are coming with some awareness and some of the first parts of the framework already like,
Mm,
okay, I do know kind of what I like. And, yeah, it's great place to just get your hands dirty and see it to completion because it can be pretty intense. So you might want to, if you're doing it on your own, you might tap out a few times. It might take a while. You might start to feel resistance to jumping back into the conversation, especially if you left it kind of bumpy. And so I really think this is a great place if you have something you've tried working with and you're just like, damn, we are just so up against a yes and a no here and we are gridlocked. Come to Temple, yes. Like
yeah,
let's get into it.
yeah, we're game.
We are so game. We're not gonna tell you it's easy, but we are gonna smile.
Yeah.
Because we live by this. I do this in my solo relationship with Jason. I know you do this. We do it together, like, and if we get into it and you're like, "This part doesn't work," great, we'll work with it, like, challenge accepted.
Yes.
I kinda wanna be like, "Bring your stuckness,
Bring
like,
it.
bring it, bring your stagnation, bring your, like, fear, bring your, like, 'No way I can get this.'"
Yep. Thanks for listening to Erotic Reclamation. If this episode did something for you,
Turned you on, made you think.
made you feel a little less alone, subscribe, leave a review,
Share it with someone who needs it, and then come back for more.
because you get to want more.